Captain Grahad and Ensign Zula docked in the human ship's hangar. It was full of life, and to their surprise, there were not only humans here, though most of them were. Grahad adjusted his uniform and got ready to leave the shuttle as he saw his sister and the human captain approaching. "Stay near me, and don't do anything stupid." Zula barely noticed what he said. "Yes, sir," she said, but she looked around. Where was Jack? Would she find him in this sea of humans? Grahad stepped out, and his sister saluted him. "Captain, let me introduce Captain Elizabeth Weir." The woman saluted him and reached out her hand to shake. She was a middle-aged woman with short blonde hair. She looked calm and polite, but behind those eyes was a strong-willed woman. She was dressed in a mix of military and civilian clothes. "Welcome to Pegasus, one of our 3 portable bases. Our officers will take care of all your needs. I need to get a quick personal briefing from my crew. You are welcome to join." "Thank you. I would love to." He started walking with her and his sister, who looked at Zula confusedly. He gave her a look that told her he would explain it later, and then he turned his attention back to the human. "If you don't mind me asking, why a personal debriefing? Didn't you follow the feeds?" Captain Weir smirked. "Of course I did, but video and scanners can't describe certain things. You know, hunches and such. Think of it as making sure we got all the intel." He nodded as they made their way to Sergeant Malcolm Reynolds. He had his crew getting checked and scanned before being allowed to enter the ship. "Sergeant." Malcolm turned to his captain and gave a weak salute. "Captain, there are no casualties today, but I thought a few need medbay." She simply nodded, and Malcolm nodded to Grahad before continuing. "So something is up. The eggs should have been put in the freezer if they had followed normal protocol, yet they were placed in storage with a faulty lock. A light pressure from the inside would open it. There were also traces of a full-grown kisser inside." "So, you're guessing there was an inside man?" She looked at Malcolm and then at Graham. "Yes, wait." He turned to his men and called out 2 names. "Sarah and Jack, get over here." Grahad saw 2 humans moving towards them, and he recognized them both from the files. Zula just started to breathe quicker. The 2 came up, and Sarah just looked at them with a, "Yeah, what can we do for you?" Jack stared at Zula, and Sarah nudged him to take his eyes off her. "Yes, sir. What can we help you with?" Captain Weir looked at them. "What did you notice?" A few locals seemed to have been sacrificed, tied and left out to be captured by the bugs. "We found some death cult symbols. The cult of Yaguhulu, we have met them before, and they worship the bugs." Captain Weir then looked at Jack, who had a weird smile on his face. "Jack?" "Yes, sir." Then he got serious. There was no way a fully grown xenograph could get in there. Somebody brought it in and fed it to gain full size. And the placement of the storage unit was odd as well. It was not on the shelves but put next to it on the ground. Whoever placed it there knew which side to leave exposed so the bugs could escape. It just felt like it was deliberately done. It's like a house where everything is neatly stacked except this one thing that is out of place. Grahad studied Jack, a thought soldier. He didn't look hurt at all now, yet he had seen him bleeding and going close combat with a bug. He smirked slightly. "May my aide debrief him later?" She was the one on the comms with him. "It's for our reports if you don't mind." He looked at Captain Weir, who just smirked. "Debriefing? I guess he can do that. Are you up to it, Jack?" Jack looked at the 2 captains and went back to Zula. "If she insists, then I would, of course, be available for all her questions." Graham nodded. "After our meeting, then." Weir dismissed the 2, and they started to walk away. Jack stood there like a fool, looking at Zula, who had to be nudged by Commander Vara to follow the captain. Grahad followed the captain to the meeting room, where they sat down. It was clean and had one large table. On one side of the wall was a giant transparent durasteel, giving them a nice view of his own ship, the Destiny, lying between them and the barren planet below. They had not yet been able to terraform it. He briefly shuddered. What they would have to do if the planet had a breathable atmosphere. Elizabeth Weir sat down and asked them to do the same. "So what is so important and secret that you can't speak over the comms about?" The origin of the transport, it's not in Nalo's space. Now, we have to tread carefully. As long as it's a Nalo's problem, I have been given an order to escort you. But this one is in Jobar space. They might not take kindly to a Nalo's frigate flying into their space. Grahad opened the files and the flight manifest of the Gush 900. Picked up the cargo at Fiorina 161. The NAV computer confirms it, and the person who ordered the eggs was not the chef but a man named Rugis Gnome in bioengineering. The human captain thought for a second, then tapped her communication. Malcolm, check the survivor list. We have a birthday child among them, Rugis Gnome. I would like him to get the best treatment. Then she turned to Vara. I suspect you want to observe the interrogation if we got him? Vara smiled like a tigress looking forward to her meal. Of course. Will it be Ash who does the interrogation? He is the best choice. I'll team him up with Lambert. They work well off each other. There was a beep and Malcolm came back on. Yes, sir. Riggs found him and broke his arm in the process of taking him to his cell. What do you want to do about it? Have Riggs and Murtaugh guard him. We want him on edge, then have Lambert drop by in 2 hours' time to send them away and start the interrogation. Have Ash drop by when he stops talking to Lambert. Grahad just listened in shock. These humans were brutes. His sister didn't seem to react to it. She was just staring at Zula. Zula looked at him and wanted to speak but held her tongue. His sister's gaze clearly made her uncomfortable. He ignored her for now and turned to Captain Weiss. Is this necessary? I mean the torture. I'm guessing Ash is a torturer. Captain Weiss laughed. Good heavens, no. He is a psychologist. Everybody knows the good cop, bad cop. We don't do that. We have a bad arresting officer and a good cop followed by an ally cop. You see, the good cop, while being nice, will be tiresome. The ally cop would give him sleep and food and reveal he wants to change sides and help him escape. The ally will be discovered and killed by the arresting cop. It's all a show, and Ash is an android, so the shot to his head won't hurt him. It will look real, though. When the good cop rescues him, they tend to break. Takes about 5 days. While that happens, we will do another investigation. Sometimes they reveal their allies to our fake allies. Anyway, we will clean the base during that time and get it back in shape. You're welcome to stay. Grahad shook his head. I actually have to return to my ship and inform HQ. I just want to speak with my sister before I leave. And perhaps Zula can debrief that human. What's his name? He turned to Zula. Jack McLeod, sir. Zula tried not to sound too eager but failed miserably, even though everybody pretended she did not. Captain Weiss stood up. Then I will take her to Jack and let you two talk. Grahad stood as expected by an officer's to an officer and nodded. Thank you, Captain, and waited for Zula and Weiss to leave. Zula followed like an eager puppy, and Grahad smirked and sat down when they were alone, looking at his sister. Who the hell is she? She looks so familiar. She got the family pattern. You haven't guessed it? She is Aether's daughter. Aether's? Are you sure? Who is the mother? Why didn't he ask Mum for permission to marry her mother? She is Genuver's daughter. The stripper? Ovara eagerness sunk like a rock. Mother would never accept her. Such a piety. Genuver is such a great woman, strong and proud. No wonder Aether fell for her. Last heard. She left New Vent and moved to Slorico. Is that where you found her? No, she joined the Navy on her own. I found out when a medic informed me of the DNA hit. I checked her out and had her transferred to my ship. She has no idea that I'm her uncle. She just knew her dad was a war hero. A war hero? He is the war hero. God damn it. What about her mother? Grahad could see his sister got upset. Aether was the biggest hero of his people. He died valiantly saving the Prime World from the Karen invasion. His brother had always been the one who refused to give up and always tried to keep everybody safe. Aether helped her open a tavern and inn in Slorico. Pretty nice place. She didn't want to cause trouble for our family. She is of a lower caste, after all. So now what? You can't bring her home. Mother will never accept her. She is too much of a traditionalist. Not from me, but she will from you. If you go good for her, then Mother will give in. After all, he was your twin and Mother's favorite. If not, then we can ensure she at least gets a chance of a good military career. Even Mum would support that as long as it's done from the shadows. So your plan to introduce my niece to me was to let her play with a human? If she half of my brother quality, Jack won't be able to walk for days before she finishes with him. Think of it as me letting her have some fun before we destroy her life. She is a noble and will lose the freedom to play around if she becomes worthy. Something I know she will manage. As for this mess, I'm heading back to contact Carr. He might be able to help us, if we have to enter their domain. Vara nodded and sighed. I need to find Jerry. I need to relax. Jerry? Don't tell me you're playing around. She smirks. Jerry Lane. Wait, are you judging me? She got serious as she continued. Besides, I don't think any Nalo would be able to stay on a human ship for long without dipping into that pool. Now get going before you end up with a human wife and mother lose another son. He got up and was about to leave when he stopped and looked at her with a mischievous grin. So it's true what they say about them? Oh yeah, you have no idea what you're missing out on, and it should stay that way. You're the face of the family. Grahad laughed as he made his way back to the hangar, surprised that they allowed him to walk around without an escort. Then he realized that this was not a military ship. He even walked past a room of human children playing in a giant pool. He stopped and looked surprised at the pool, and he didn't notice that Captain Weir came up next to him. Surprised to see this? She asked. Yeah, I forgot that this is not a military ship. Ah, it used to be, 50 years ago, part of the ship had to be refitted. This used to be bomber hangar. He looked at how large the room was and turned to her. Planet crackers? Yes, we only have light weaponry now, but she can still punch through a blockade if necessary. Anyway, I have come to tell you one of our other ships recently worked in the Jobar space. Captain Bean. One of our best. He also talked about the cult of Yaguhulu being present. The Jobar are not happy about it. They do not want this to be publicly known, so tread carefully. Can't Captain Bean check it out for us? No, he has to return to HQ for resupply, recruitment, and repairs. Their ship got zerged. Zerged? Overrun by bugs. Half his crew are frozen in carbonite as they got infected by kissers. Almost a total loss, but they finished the job. Anyway, be careful as you talk to the Jobars. The cute Cthulhus can be grumpy. He thanked her, took a deep breath, and looked at her, realizing something. I know. Get going before you can't control it. She winked and let him go. He quickly got to the shuttle and found his pilot flirting or being flirted with by several human women. The pilot saluted the moment he saw him and got his emotions under control. When he arrived on Destiny, he quickly went to his chambers and took a shower to lose the scent. He needed to be focused and not think about human women. Then he called up HQ and delivered his report. The humans had yet to release the citizens of the colony from their quarantine, but most would be allowed to return home within a day or two. HQ was surprisingly fine with this. Apparently these humans was given free rein to either fix this problem or to screw up so they could take the blame. He was ordered to escort them, and when he mentioned the possibility of leaving Nalo space and going into job space, there was a pause. He suggested going through Carr and told them about Captain Bean's situation. If they admitted they had the same problem, perhaps something could be arranged. HQ replied that he should wait. It was so impersonal, Hen wondered if he had even spoken with a Nalo officer or if they had just transferred him to Skynet, the AI protecting Prime. It was sometimes hard to know the difference. Cut the transmission and went to bed. 2 days later, he got a message from the humans. Rugus Gnome had given everything up. He was part of the cult of Yaguhulu. There was a base on Fiorina 161. The humans were waiting for another ship to come and take over the cleanup job, and then they would go and check it out. Grahad had to remind them about the politics of the matter. Captain Weir was unhappy about it, but they would wait for an answer. Graham felt that the answer did not matter to the humans, they would go regardless, and he thought about it. That might actually work. He contacted Carr directly and asked him about the situation. Well, my people don't want to admit it publicly. They want me to just bomb that base from orbit. Carr was unsure if that was the correct order and hated being given orders they would regret later. Well, in a few days, some crazy humans will come and raid that base for intel. Most likely without permission. I will be in hot pursuit trying to stop them. Let them send their crew down and give them a few light jabs, and we play it out as if we are both trying to get them back to their own space. We can negotiate for a few hours, right? And what about the intel they find? You confiscate a copy and then blow up the base to prevent them from getting more. You mean after they picked their computers clean, of course. Well, those humans will steal everything that's nailed and welded down. So, the gods only know how much they have actually stolen. We will, of course, escort them out, and I will apologize for my human pets getting out of their leashes and running away. Carr laughed. They will be ready for this plan? God, no, they won't even know we've planned it. Their captain is already too eager to get there. This is exactly why nobody wants to make you an admiral. You're too cunning. If you become an admiral, you will end up a royal within a few years. And they don't want a king, Grahad. I don't want to be king. I just want the job done. And that, my friend, is why you would become king with the right backers. Okay. Let me know when the humans come running. Grahad contacted his sister the next day just to check up on her. The video feed was from her quarters and he could see Zula in the back, half asleep in a couch, with a big grin but completely worn out. I'm sorry. HQ could not get the permission for us to enter, and I have been told to escort you, so the Jobar denied us both. He tilts his head. How's the kitten? The captain will not like this. I fear she might do something stupid. She turned and looked back at Zula and then back at him. I just got her back 3 days. She shook her head in disbelief. She was so happy with herself. I hope she didn't kill him. Anyway, I have to inform the captain. What should I do if they do anything stupid? Grahad shrugged. You're an observatory in a ship full of humans? What can you do? Pray the job don't use the big guns. She looked at him and then laughed as she cut the communication. Grahad went up to the bridge and sat down. Slowly ready the ship for a jump. I don't want the humans to know. Skim looked at him. One of your great plans? What's the course? Fiorina 161. As he spoke, the human ship turned away from the planet in a fluid motion and jumped into light speed. And here we go. Engage. Destiny jumped after the Pegasus.